One of the biggest capital rotations we've seen in months is happening right now from the glove case. Millions of dollars we're talking, and we need to find out exactly where it's going. And one of our calls went from 50 bucks to over 100. All this and more on the news.
And now for our Counter-Strike report. New York's very own Mike Water.
Welcome back to the news. I'm your host, Mike Water 9. And I can't lie, I jinxed it. For the first time in the news history, the market cap is down for the second week in a row. Slightly less this time, 1.4% from around 5.65 billion to 5.61. And if you're new, you should be very thankful for weeks like this, and I'll explain why. And that's because red weeks are sales. That's it. If you don't sell the stuff that's already in your inventory, and you buy more stuff at a lower cost than it usually is, you get the same amount of skins you would have 2 weeks ago for less money than you would have had to spend 2 weeks ago. When markets go back up, and they always do, so does your wallet subsequently. But this red week is a little bit different because there's a pattern. Money has been leaving the glove case for 2 weeks straight now, and it makes sense. A lot of people had a lot of vested money in this case, and if there's hundreds and hundreds of listings on the market, it takes a while to get out. The biggest tell is our two biggest losers of the week are the Hedge Maze and Pandora's Box glove, which, as you should know, are the two highest tier gloves within that case. While they're not exactly affordable still, they've gone from untouchable to the price range of around a high tier knife. Now, quick context if you're new here, the glove case was one of the most highly sought after cases for the last 2 months or so. Price spiked incredibly high, and all of the skins within the case were very inflated. And that's because with the trade up update, these skins held access to some of the most highly sought after gloves in the game. And gloves, because of their unique float cap, especially in higher tier wares such as factory new and minimal wear, made it a very easy target for Chinese manipulation. But it seems they are now happy with their gains and are now rotating out into new ones. And we are finally seeing that rotation happen. The targets don't seem to be one specific target, however it seems to be the new class of high tier items, discontinued cases. Now there are a ton of new discontinued cases, which makes the investing landscape quite ripe for new opportunities. We must be very diligent when looking around for the next play. Oddly, one of the biggest jumps we saw this week was with the Esports 2013 case. In the last 7 days, it has gone up around 15% on most marketplaces. Now the case is already expensive, so I don't like the prospect of purchasing the actual case. If the case hits $100, it was already $60, so that's still not even a 100% gain. And when you're swing trading in such a volatile asset class such as this one, sometimes a 70% gain is not enough. I know that sounds insane, but think about it. You're investing in Counter-Strike skins. It's already fucking insane. You need plays that pay off for the money and risk that you're putting into it in the first place. And if you take a deeper look at the Esports 2013 case itself, there's nothing really there. The skins are not that desirable in terms of play skins, and all of the float caps for every single gun is pretty bad. The only good one I was able to find is the M4A4 Faded Zebra, which has a 0.06 to 0.8 float cap. And even then, that's still not great as a trade-up filler. It's only good as a case opening play skin. So the price pump seems to be just a supply issue and bringing the case up to the price in which it matches the ROI for opening one. It now seems to be in line, so now I don't think there'll be any more significant, drastic price movements. Not enough to justify putting $60 into the case. If there are skins that are worth purchasing within the case, they are going to be the higher tier red and pinks in low floats. And that's because all of the fillers don't really exist. Pretty much every purple has a really tiny float cap, which makes trading up to the higher tier skins extremely hard. So maybe that plays a part in why the case was pumped so heavily over the last 7 days. However, I would not vest too much interest into this case specifically. There are plenty of other plays which seem a little bit safer and have a lower risk to reward ratio. One case that has seen some attention that I think is worth more of your time is the Wildfire case. Now I think a lot of eyes don't necessarily go to this case right off the bat because the only knife within the case is the Bowie knife, which, as we know, famously trash knife. Argue with a wall, by the way. The real play here is the AK-47 fuel injector. Much like the Huntsman case, which houses the AK Vulcan, that's where most of your value is coming from within this case. It's not because of the knife, it's because of the high tier guns within the case. The fuel injector itself is up around 10% on the week, and 10% does not seem like a lot. However, the gun itself is already pretty expensive, so you should have saw, a decent, $50, $60 movement there. The AWP Elite build, which is a pink within the case, is the only one with the 0-1 float cap, and it saw a massive price increase of around 15%. The gun is now around $500 in factory new, which makes it oh so more difficult for you to get a factory new fuel injector from a trade up. because the price to even do one is insane. And the other pinks within the collection have decently high float caps, but they're nothing compared to the AWPs. If you could find some low float pinks that are not the AWP Elite build within the Wildfire collection, consider looking into purchasing one of those. They will only become more valuable as time goes on. There's a capital inflow into the Wildfire collection. Now, as you should know or recognize by now, there is always a pattern in which capital goes into a case. The headliners move first. That always creates an increased ROI for the case opening, which subsequently pumps the case price itself. Once prices reach a certain level, it is thus more profitable to just open cases rather than purchase the skin itself. So case prices have to rise naturally. Then lastly, the thing that lags the most are the fillers, because trade up fillers do exist and they do serve a purpose. A lot of people do trade ups, but you still can profit from trade ups by purchasing the fillers because people need to buy them from you to do their trade ups. You buy some, the people that do trade ups buy some, demand goes up, supply relatively stays the same, price movements upwards, and then you could command your price when selling to the trader upper. Currently, the blues in the Wildfire collection are pretty much undervalued as a whole. Now there are a lot of them in the blue or mil-spec rarity that carry a 0 to 1 float cap. That's good for us because there's a ton of them. Not any specific one has been pumped to the level in which they should be. The purple within the Wildfire collection, the Glock 18 Royal Legion, is around $50 in factory new right now. A lot of the blues in factory new that carry a 0 to 1 float cap are around $2.50 to $3 on some marketplaces. So even trading up 10 of these blues from the Wildfire collection could theoretically net you a positive ROI of around 100%. So I do like a lot of these plays. There are a few that look good on their own terms as a play skin, such as the USP lead conduit. However, there are a dual Beretta and a Bison skin within the Wildfire collection, which I'll leave right here, which are in that range of around $2.50 to $3, making it a great pickup right now, as we are still early to the Wildfire pump, and the trade-up fillers have not yet captured their full fair value. Now, speaking of fair value, allow me to show you why one of my calls went from $50 to around $100 in less than 7 days. Today's video has been sponsored by the lovely ladies and gentlemen over at SkinsMonkey.com. SkinsMonkey is the industry standard trading forum and marketplace for anything and all things Counter-Strike. 24/7 support and an instant trading system so fast, those Bulgarian overpay goblins are sure to go out of business. Now, if that's not enough incentive, throw my code Mike in on the website for $5 off on your first trade. But if you trade up to $100 on the website, they'll double your bonus from 5 to 10. Now, if you don't have any skins and I just gave you some free game on investment advice, you could deposit money and use the website as a marketplace as well. In that case, my code Mike will net you a 5% deposit bonus, bringing it from 30 to 35%. So go get swagged out, courtesy of SkinsMonkey.com. We will go over my previous week's calls right now, and I'll explain to you the difference between a pump and a hold. So the P250 Mehndi, which was one of my calls from last week, went from around $50 at the time of making the video to around $90 today. There wasn't a pump and then a pullback right back down to its previous levels. It pumped and it stayed at that level, and that's because the price was undervalued. It's from the Winter Offensive case, which I'll get into in a moment, but it has properties of both a play skin and a trade-up filler. It carries a 0 to 1 float cap, and the skin itself looks very good in-game. So it was $50, which meant it was undervalued at the time. It is now fairly valued in its $80 to $100 range. So you won't see another price jump as you did last week. However, if you did purchase last week, you are up-handedly, and you could consider selling or keeping it. In the same light, I called the SG553 Berry Gel Coat, which is from the Graphic Design collection, and the reasoning was the same. It was undervalued for the price. It traded up to higher tier skins, and you could basically use just 10 SGs and make a profit on like most plays. It has since gone up to around $8 from its previous at $5 last week, and I don't see it going down much more than $8 because now it is fairly valued for the utility it provides within the collection. Now there are holds as well. Now spotting the undervalued skins sees pretty fast drastic price pumps, but there are ones such as the Winter Offensive case and the M4 Guardian, which were calls from last week, that are more hold oriented. The M4 Guardian is the same rarity as the P250 within the same case, the Winter Offensive, because it doesn't necessarily have great trade up prospects. The float cap is 0 to 0.5. It is more of a play skin play. And when you have something that has value as a play skin, it tends to just go up with the price of the case, which is what the Winter Offensive case is doing right now exactly. It has gone from around $11 last week on Steam to $12 right now as we speak. And as that case price tends up, so will every skin in the case, and the play skins benefit the most there. There was a small pump when the M4 Guardian was called. I imagine some of you guys bought some. They have since settled down at a higher than the previous week. However, if you hold and the Winter Offensive case continues to trend upwards, so will every skin within the case. We can take a look at last week's bot call as well, which was the AK-47 Wasteland Rebel. The AK-47 Wasteland Rebel is a very expensive skin in a rather rare case, so price movement is going to be kind of drastic because it's a very illiquid skin. So we can't necessarily look at percentage gains, but it stayed pretty much flat, maybe a small marginal increase in the average price of sale. However, that is fine. A play like that, much like the M4 Guardian, is riding on the case price itself and what the large money is starting to move into. I don't think anyone purchased this one. It is a very big investment, especially for a call from a bot. But as I said, it was good to watch just to see how this bot is starting to learn as we move along, week after week, and the tools that it utilizes becomes better. Some changes were made to the bot, and now looks at UPIN and the listings that come with it to determine some calls that it makes. One call that I saw it made that caught my eye specifically was the P2000 Space Race. Now the P2000 Space Race is a part of the 2021 Train Collection, which is one of China's favorite collections to pump. The skin is down from its previous highs, and China loves to let prices dip for a little bit so that they can accumulate more and take a bigger grasp of the supply of these guns. This one does trade up to the USP Whiteout, and it does have one of the best float caps within its rarity range. It is pretty cheap right now, and I would recommend purchasing one or two of these P2000s. I have a couple of them myself. I've been holding them for quite a few months. It seems to be one of the favorites, and the skin itself looks pretty damn good. In general news, something to keep an eye on would be the Vanilla Navaja knife. For some reason, it saw quite a big purchasing wave in the last couple of days, and it has since found the new floor about $10 above its previous low, from 60 to around 70. We first clocked this on stream. We will do another stream tonight. Sorry, last night I was pretty hurting. Still kind of hurting a little bit, but we got to push through at this point. But someone is accumulating, so it's something to look on for the future. As well as Shanghai 2024 stickers, they are seeing some very odd price movement. The FlyQuest one has already went up quite a bit. Some of the other ones are now seeing price movement. So keep an eye on it for now. However, I will be making a sticker report on Wednesday. Wednesdays will now alternate between the Armory report and the sticker report every other week. So now, the part you've all been waiting for, the watch list. Firstly, aforementioned, the Wildfire case blues with a 0-1 float cap. Specifically the Bison and the Dual Berettas Cartel. They are the cheapest ones, which is why I'm calling those on the watch list, as they stand to gain the most, or you could use them as a trade-up filler for the Glock Royal Legion, which will net you a pretty penny if the trade-up goes your way. And the second thing to keep on your watch list, two cases, the Gamma case and the Spectrum case. Now these cases are both down on the week. However, the skins within the cases are not. The P250 See You Later was noted to have an around a plus 10% movement on the week, and as we've spoken about before on this channel, the Gamma case and the Spectrum case have a lot of high tier knives that a lot of people like, and there's only two of each of those cases, which means that the red fillers and subsequently everything below it will increase in price over time, as the reality of the knife trade-up update is finally starting just to become second nature to us. On your watch list as well, keep looking at those stickers in the Shanghai collection, in the Shanghai 2024 major, and on Wednesday I will come to you with all the information I could gather in a nice cohesive video. That'll do it for the news today. We will stream on Twitch again tonight. Follow on Twitch for a rough schedule. I will edit it as time goes on. However, in general, you can expect me to stream most nights at around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I can do it earlier, I will. I know I have a lot of European viewers and I would love to include them. Sometimes it's just hard to, get to streaming at a decent time, when I'm making these videos midday. However, I will try to dial in my schedule such that I can stream a little bit earlier and get you guys included for just a few hours. Stay tuned for a very, very exciting play, which I'll touch on tomorrow, the sticker report on Wednesday, and DE News China, which is going to happen on Friday. We have a few series going at this point, so you now know what to expect most days, and the other days I'll just fill in with whatever interesting stuff I find, interesting videos or ideas I have. We're starting to become a pretty streamlined process here, and I can't thank you all enough for your support. So with that being said, have a beautiful day. Good night.